on matters that are economic are actually handled not by the summit, but by IBEC, the intergovernmental body that deals with commercial issues, economic issues, budgetary issues. That's why it's called Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council. So I will find them, because that's where the counties and the CECs and everybody comes. The summit also only brings the governors, and sometimes they don't have the nitty-gritty. So I think my office will get the IBEC, and I'll ask my deputy to take a better charge of that space, so that we can sort out those issues of MCAs and everybody trying to do everything. So I agree with you that should be the correct metrics. I also agree with all the other presentations made by the chairman of KEMSA. Of course, we are in a new trade and international business regime. As every country pushes for what is in their best interest. And you cannot fault any country for pushing what is in their best interest. It is up to us as Kenya also to find tools on how to negotiate with our way into the different markets using the tools we have and the interests that are of importance to Kenya. What we are doing with the EU market, what we are doing with SEPA, that we are negotiating with the UAE market, what we are doing with the China market, what we are doing with the US market, what we are doing with India. So these are all mechanisms for us to position ourselves strategically, both for our exports and for the interests that we have as a country. And we will continue. You know, we signed into the Economic Partnership Agreement with the EU last year. It came into force last June, July. We have what you have raised, the concerns about AGOA. Those are real. That we've engaged with the US on this particular matter as a continent, because the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act is a continent-wide act that supports Africa to export to the US. We also have a bilateral trade agreement that we have been negotiating with the United States. So I think some of your fears and the fears of the industry can be alleviated as we progress, you know, the conversation and the negotiations with the United States, being a trading partner that we value and we work with. And my minister here, Lee, is seized with the trade negotiations with the US. I think he has an appointment 20th of this month with the US trade representative for us to find ways of how can we look at AGOA, and in the absence of AGOA, what other bilateral agreements can we engage in? Already there is an engagement going on. Already we have, I think, on the tariff regime that was released 2-3 days ago, Kenya is among the low-band countries at 10%, which is a positive development between us and the US. And so, forget about the headlines. The headlines serve other purposes for other reasons. But our engagement with the United States is a robust engagement that we have, and we will see how we can progress, either as a continent using the AGOA infrastructure, or bilaterally with the United States using the bilateral trade agreement that is already in negotiation. And this is the broader, aspects that you are asking us to do, to look at different markets, whether it is the Chinese market, the American market, the Turkish market, the Indian market, the European market, and we are engaging them using different instruments. And so I agree with you entirely, Wamboi, that we should find ways of promoting our own manufacturing. And we will continue to work with the private sector to look at what policy interventions do we put in place to promote local manufacture of goods that should not necessarily be imported. You remember 2 years ago, we had a policy intervention on imports of furniture. And I was very happy this morning to hear what the industry has. I will ask somebody in this room to tell us what that policy intervention has done to furniture manufacture in Kenya as a way of promoting Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. So for you, Wamboi, I think we will continue to engage. We will find a mechanism to bring in the counties so that they don't multiply taxes. On the UCR, Mwenda, do you have a view on this UCR? Have you can trade, and do you have?
Yes, Your Excellency. It's an issue that has come up. Previously, the fee was very minimal. It was $1 before. It has come because of issues on how to really deal with a single window system, and with Kentrade colleagues, we are engaging, and hopefully in the next roundtable by December, we'll see how to engage there, because Kentrade sits under Treasury, but it facilitates trade and is an issue the sector has raised. We will engage and see whether we can come back with a report by the next roundtable in December, Your Excellency.
Do you think is that satisfactory to the flower people, or you would want an expedited engagement?
Your Excellency, I wanted to make a small
Minister has something to say.
Yeah. My view, Your Excellency, because we've engaged with the Flower Council and all the others, the nature of sales is like you have like 10, 20 orders every day. So this is not a cost that was foreseen. It cannot wait for December. A decision needs to be made. And alongside that, Your Excellency, is also the question of different agencies coming up with fees that are not coordinated. So in the morning, you wake up, this agency has put this fee, another one has put this fee, and overall the cost of doing business goes up. So there needs to be a mechanism where at least an objection can be sought so that we agree, because our competitiveness is being edged out. When our freight is already high, then you introduce these fees, then it makes our product in the market disadvantageous. Thank you.
So, since you are my representative in that space, and you are the trade unionist for these traders, I think you should take it up, and if you face any challenge with the agencies or with your colleagues, you can bring it to my attention. But I think the way you have said, if it is a matter that requires urgent resolution, and that seems to be the case, let us find the mechanism to do it as a matter of urgency. So if we can progress with that. I want to hear from some of the industry players on some of the interventions we have made, because when I said that it is time that we shouldn't import what we can produce, among them furniture.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Hitesh Medirata. I'm a furniture manufacturer. Your Excellency, the way I'd like to frame this is the policy intervention taken over here on furniture a couple of years ago was to tax the finished product. There's nothing further than just delivering it then to the consumer. When that was done, it encouraged significant investment in the sector. And I think it only happened a year later when the policy was stable, because there was a fear that it would be removed, because there was a lot of politics behind that as well. Once that was a stable policy, the investment came in. The good thing about that policy is it created no noise in the value chain, because it wasn't distorting the timber supplier or the sawmiller or the wood processors within Kenya or within East Africa. What it was doing in effect was substituting imports of finished furniture, of which all of those products that they produce come in the form of finished product. And therefore, everyone in the value chain was winning in that respect. And so we've seen output increase across the value chain. And what's important around that is as competition has come in, the prices are falling because we're competing. Now the danger also what we see is when we tax, and had the policy be, oh, let's tax the timber, then what would have happened, and that's what we see when we tax raw materials, is this import price parity immediately comes in, because now we're setting the new price. And then you look at the factories in China, they're saying, oh, but they bring in timber at half the price into their factories and they can export furniture to Kenya a lot cheaper. So having simply gone to the final product, I think that policy intervention has proved to be successful. And we appreciate it as a sector, and I think it's something that you can emulate across others as well. Thank you.
So have you seen any increase, just for understanding? I know you said we took the right policy decision and said no, we will tax finished furniture products coming into Kenya. That way we have, according to you, we have increased our productivity and our production of furniture. Has there been any significant increase in the number of players? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, Your Excellency. I've seen multiple number of players come in just around my space within the industrial area, probably about 10 or 15. But where I'm seeing a lot is a lot of fragmented smaller players coming around as well. The informal sector is also booming in that space as well. You're seeing, in fact, one thing when you drive around, whether it's Gong Road or you're going into any informal sector which is known for furniture, you can see the significant amount of activity going on in that space. Because now that policy has transcended right down, even to the SMEs.
Okay. There are people who are telling us we should reverse that policy. I don't know what you have. Do you have something to tell them?
Well, Your Excellency, like in anything, you know, like there could be an argument over here that overprotection is not the greatest as well because it breeds complacency. Where a policy intervention actually stimulates competition and brings down prices, that's correct. It needs to be stable for a while. Yes, at the end of the day, we can't have overprotection forever, but it could be stepped down. But until your policy objectives are achieved,
yes,
then we could possibly.
Thank you very much. So I can confirm to you that that position is not going to change. We want to continue to encourage more players into the space. We want to continue to have more locally produced furniture into our living rooms, into our offices, and into every other space. And part of what you see on Gong Road and all the other informal places is actually been encouraged, and the Juakali people will tell you here, by our affordable housing program. We've given them huge contracts to produce doors and many other things that we are using in our affordable housing program, and that is making significant progress in that space. I know that there are other interventions that have not given as good a result as that one, but we are looking at them and discussing with industry, especially in the space of, I think, steel and all the others. We are looking at some of those to make sure that whether it is steel or cement, we must align it so that it gives us the results that we were looking for, like the one we have in furniture. So, my good friend, I think the minister has answered for you that time is of the essence. So we are not waiting for December. We will action it as of immediate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Your Excellency, I can confirm my office furniture is made by an SME in Kenya. So I'm one of those. I'll move to the international trade. And again, very quickly, we have 3 issues and proposals. And I'll have the EU Chamber, which is a member, and BCCK, the British Chamber of Commerce, to raise the issue and the solution they are proposing. We'll have DECLA, who is representing the chair of the EU Chamber, who is away, and the CEO, and on discrepancies of custom duties and misalignment of the harmonized system codes. And then I'll have Sonal, BCCK, who will raise the issue on the taxation area.
Thank you. Mr. President, I'm pleased to represent both the European Chamber of Commerce as well as the Irish Business Chamber in Kenya, both of which are dedicated to advancing trade with Kenya, especially under the Economic Partnership Agreement, which you mentioned earlier in your remarks. Our question comes from our 10-point agenda to improve trade and investment between the EU and Kenya, which has also been discussed with your good office last year. As discussed, European companies operating in Kenya continue to encounter challenges due to overvaluation of imported goods, which is increasing both the tax burden and as well as operational costs. Relatedly, there are concerns that KRA periodically adjusts custom duties upward, which is complicating both financial planning as well as cost management. Our question, as well as kind of our contribution to improving and deepening trade ties, is that we believe that we can work jointly together to establish a transparent valuation framework which is aligned with WTO customs valuation agreements, as well as enhance KRA's capability for fair, consistent valuation through training and technology to improve the movement of goods and allowing trade to be facilitated, as well as a fast-track dispute resolution mechanism for valuation disputes. So these are some of the solutions that would provide a framework to streamline the predictability and clarity on dispute resolution and strengthening ties. So thank you very much for that.
Then on the taxation issue by Sonal, maybe then you can respond to both.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for this round table. My name is Sonal Tejpa. I'm the chairperson of the British Chamber of Commerce. You've had a very good visit to the UK. Thank you very much. A lot of positive outcomes as a result of that, and I understand you were at one summit with other African leaders and you were the only one to get a standing ovation. So, well done. Over 150 companies from the UK operate in Kenya, employing hundreds of thousands of employees and amongst the largest taxpayers in the country. Bilateral trade has grown to over 314 billion shillings. There are many chambers here, as Carol mentioned, including the Irish, the Dutch, the Americans, the Portuguese, the Japanese, the Indians. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. But we obviously all talk because there are many issues that are common to all of us in terms of how do we attract more investment into Kenya and how do we help those foreign investors who are already here. One issue that has already been raised is around predictability and the importance, a bit like your analogy with the farmers that you mentioned in your opening remarks. In order to achieve the yields that farmers want, they obviously need a reliable season. They need to know when to plant, what to plant, and when to harvest. And it's a bit like foreign investors. They need to know what is the tax regime, what is the legal regime in the country. So our ask, particularly in the last few months, we've seen since December 4 new tax laws is a commitment to essentially have tax review cycles, the 5-year cycles that are in the national tax policy to be implemented. And the sunset clause is in there for specific sector incentives to be looked at. Since I have the mic, is a focus on counterfeit and illicit trade, which has the Anti-Counterfeit Authority has clearly indicated through their work the number of job losses and the number and the amount of revenue that is lost to Kenya because of illicit and counterfeit trade. And so our recommendation is also to please look at that as well. But I just want to thank, whilst I'm here, thank MITI for their cooperation with the chambers, with John Wender and team at Ken Invest, because having this dialogue and the dialogues that we have with the ministry, the CS and the PSs is really important to make Kenya a better destination compared to others in our region. Thank you.
I think what was not mentioned, as I was mentioning, that there was the issue of the double taxation agreements and or suggestion that we standardize the DTA negotiation frameworks based on OECD and UN models so that we don't have the different ones because different countries are negotiating different ones. So there was also that had come, and I know Dubai Chamber of Commerce are here and other chambers of commerce are here.
Thank you very much. I think 3 things I picked out. Overvaluation. I thought there should be an empirical way of arriving at the value of goods. And I thought we had contracted professional agencies. I think, what are they called, those people? Bill Veritas, I don't know, the SGS and all those people. The verification agencies. Does the industry, can I ask my friend, sorry, is there any suggestions that you have that we could work with, either to standardize or to harmonize or to leverage on best practice so that we avoid this, in your words, arbitrary, so to speak, sometimes you value this way, overvaluation, and even to take it all the way to how do we adjudicate, whenever there is a dispute on the value of goods, how do we make that, efficient? So my ask of you is, do you have any suggestions on how we can do this better? And then we can then pick it up with our agencies, or do we have any best practice that you think we can adopt so that we avoid, these chasing values from all over the place? Yes, my friend, you seem to have an answer.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Frederick Allo. I'm the National Chairman of Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, KIFWA. It is the umbrella body for all clearing agents in the country. And I'm very much happy to report that we are all domiciled under the Department of Customs and Border Control, where we now deal with the declarations directly from the importers and exporters, the declarations, and we facilitate the processing of these goods at our ports, airports, and the border and at the borders. On the issue of the valuation, I think there's somebody who said that so long as we are alive, 2 things we will never avoid. Number 1 is death. Number 2 is taxes. Taxes can be arbitrary or they cannot be arbitrary. But what I think one thing that we tend to educate our members through the trainings and the capacity buildings that we are having is that the law already provides a remedy. And the remedy is in, number 1, in appeals. If you look at the East African Community Customs Management Act that now governs declarations, for all customs declarations, there is an appeal mechanism under Section 229. Once you are dissatisfied by that, the law further provides for appeals at the Tax Appeals Tribunal. I think one of the challenges that we've had from the trainings and capacity buildings that we normally have occasionally is that much as we complain that the taxes are arbitrary, but if you do not follow what the law provides in appeals, then it becomes very difficult in faulting the tax authorities. So one of the things that we are doing is we are partnering with other private sector business member organizations to offer more and more educations. Valuation is well prescribed under the WTO, so the methods are there. If you look at the East African Customs Community Management Act, the 4th schedule, it provides on how valuation should be done. That is what I can add for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think I will hire you to work for government.
Your Excellency, sorry, maybe if you permit me, allow me wanted to raise my hand on 2 other issues before you hire me. And on the UCR that was raised, I think the Kenyan Trade Network Agency is amending the National Single Window Electronic Act, if I'm not wrong. We've received the notice, I think the CEO wrote to us. I've gotten an invitation officially. They're trying to do public participation. And one of the things that we really stressed on as a country on issues to do with the promotion of our exports, the UCR fee has been reduced by 50%. So for exports, it attracts $50. I think the public participation has been slated. We are going to do it. Lastly, Your Excellency, on the issue of now the local traders, I think we have a big problem with also the local clearing agents. We have the shipping lines, some do even the clearing, and if you are not careful, much as you strive very much to build, to have more employment opportunities, many of our members are going to go out of employment because if you make money in freight, why do you want to do clearing? It's going to drive many people out. We kindly request you to help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I agree with you that shipping lines should not be doing clearing. I think I agree with you. Yeah. And I think already Lee knows what he needs to do. And then number 2, I'm happy that there is some discussion on that UCR. And there is already a notice of public participation to see how that will work out. So if we can, I think, pick up from there, Waziri, now progress with Kentrade and all the other players so that that UCR that is giving problems to the council, make sure that they also get the notice for public participation so that they can bring their issues. And please come with all the numbers that you just shared. You just shared with me. Take those numbers to the public participation and make your case. I'm sure the people engaged will see the sense in the huge numbers you have stated. So I think what has been said, my good brother, there is, are we using best practice? Are we using the international standards? And even though there is an appeal mechanism, is there a way we can avoid overvaluation? I think that is so that you don't have to go through the hoops of appeal and that kind of view. How do we make sure that the valuations are good from the beginning so that you don't have to reduce them by using the appeals mechanism? I think that is a challenge that, Lee, you can take up with our people in that space so that we can take care of the concerns of our friends there. Number 2 is, I think, making that whole space transparent, making it easy for people to follow up. On the issue raised by the gracious lady on the national tax policy, predictability, I think it is a matter that we have canvassed, not once. It is a matter that is already in the works. We have already, as you are aware, we are consolidating the place using policy The national tax policy is already underway. We will try and progress it into a much more solid space using legislation so that we can create, as you use the analogy of a farmer, and I am a farmer, so I can relate very well with what you're saying. And then, of course, dealing with the challenge of counterfeits. And Lee, your office has the instruments to deal with that, and you know how counterfeits distort the whole space and create a space that is undesirable for industry. Did you have something?
Yes, Your Excellency. With respect to the valuations, I think the appeal mechanism exists and is open. But the challenge is your cargo is arriving. If the appeal mechanism takes a week or 2 or 3, the cost you pay for storage and damage is going to be higher than what you're appealing. So I think what we would need is a period within which this must be done. It is open, it is transparent, and I'm already working with KRA so that those concerns can be addressed once and for all. As to the integrity of the verifying institution, so that when they give a value, that value reflects the true value of that particular commodity. Because also governments are there to make money so that they can be able to pay for services that are there through taxation. So we'll also try and work on that area. But I want to assure you, it's a matter under our radar and we are working on it. Thank you.
I think on the counterfeit, Your Excellency, the other thing to do maybe is re-establish back the multi-agency on the counterfeit so that it brings all those agencies, including DCI and everyone else, but to work a bit more efficiently than before. I think that will deal with that.
Yeah, I agree, Your Excellency, but also to note that within the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, we have even CAM and other agencies represented. So I think we also, maybe we shouldn't duplicate. If you have other members you would want us to include, we are happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think the last two, because the others were taken as we were discussing the progress report. For manufacturing, I think we had already done the cost of energy. You are representing everyone on the cost of energy, and you can maybe comment on one solution that we need to add on that cost of energy. I think on the counterfeit, I think we've covered, and then there was one more on, I think on the VAT refunds, which I think we've also covered, but I think, yeah.
So, thank you. Your Excellency, my name is Tobias Alando, I'm the CEO of CAM. On the cost of energy, we are about 70% uncompetitive in terms of cost of energy, looking at East Africa and even Africa at large. And this is an issue that has come from time ago. It's not the issue of this government, but we need to find a solution in terms of addressing it. And our proposal is removal of 6% growth requirement on time of use tariff policy. I think with that, 6% growth requirement. So for you to enjoy the times of use tariff, there is a commitment that you have to put in terms of 6% growth for you to enjoy the time of use tariff. So we are proposing that be removed because it's in the policy, just to encourage more people to utilize off-peak that was proposed for the manufacturing sector. The other proposal is about exempting the generators, the power generators from VAT. I think that would enable us. These are short-term proposals. The long-term, of course, is dealing with the PPA, power purchase agreements, which I know your government is able to deal with. And of course, we appreciate the unlocking that you did in the infrastructure, in the road sector, in terms of the pending bill. That has also had a ripple effect on the manufacturing sector because we supply raw materials. So we do appreciate that effort. And I believe in the long term on the power, you may find a solution. And we are looking forward. Thank you.
You know, we are torn between power that is available and power that's affordable. At the moment, we cannot quite bring it together, but I think progressively and I'm very happy that you are positive about it. We will get to that equilibrium where it will not only be available, but it will also be affordable. I will look at the proposals you have raised. Eden, can you mark for me 6%? They want 6% growth, something, if you are to use the off-peak power tariff.
Yes.
And also exemption on power generation. What do you exactly mean power generation?
Power generators be exempted from VAT so that they pass
Independent ones or all?
the generators.
All generators.
Yes.
Okay, let's mark it, and then maybe you can follow it up, Lee, and then we see whether how significant, maybe the elimination of VAT, I don't know how significant that will be in terms of the cost of power. But I think it is something we can consider. Yeah.
Your Excellency, there were also projects that were pending in terms of power evacuation in Mariakani and Lesos. We would appreciate if those projects are concluded, because now it will distribute power across those regions.
Those projects are under consideration. In fact, I think we have concluded some of them. We are going to put some of them under the new program we have with private-public partnership for evacuation of power. Unfortunately, the contract we had signed with some private developer was ran into headwinds. We would have maybe sorted out that problem a lot earlier, but we still have an opportunity to do it, as you have said. So that is on matters to do with power. There was also something else you said.
No, it's only power evacuation.
Yes.
Yes.
So power evacuation and making sure that we manage the cost.
The cost, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the last one that this BMO sat together and agreed us to present, one was the financial services by KBA had they had a solution, their proposed solution on VAT refund using bonds. So I thought that was interesting. So let them tell us what they think, how we can do that. So I'll have the KBA representative to mention that.
Yeah, Your Excellency, thank you. And in regards to what the CEO has highlighted, the solution that I would like to propose for your consideration is an innovative solution similar to what was actually crafted for the pending bills on the road sector. And this was in respect to issuing a VAT refund bond that can be traded within the Nairobi Stock Exchange, as well as also considering establishing a revolving fund for the VAT refund as part of the solutions that can then be extended to address the challenges that the business community has been facing as far as the VAT refund concern relates to. So those are the two proposals that I would like your administration to consider as an interim solution, because at times you find there are fiscal constraints for government to be able to increase the allocation that has been that is being provided to the business community as part of addressing the refunds that are outstanding. So those are the two proposals that we'd like to at least submit for your consideration. Then separately from the banking sector, Your Excellency, is just to report that the Central Bank of Kenya, together with the banks, are finalizing discussion on the new pricing framework that will essentially promote transparency as well as efficient transmission of monetary policies as part of extending affordable credit to the business communities as well as to the household. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting to lead Kenya because we always have new ways of doing things, which is very good. We are innovative. We try and look at challenges, but also look at how we can solve them. I'm very happy that you are suggesting to us an innovative way of trying to do with the tax amendment. I will look at the stock of the VAT refund. I don't know how much it is now. 15 billion. Okay? All right, maybe we can think about it. The reason why we are looking for alternative sources of funding to facilitate our public sector interventions. And you have said it correctly. We have had 3 different interventions that are innovative. You know, many people had issues with them, including even our development partners, including even our financial institutions, international financial institutions, but they have come to appreciate that Kenyans can be innovative. That the innovation around M-Pesa was not the only one. We had innovation going on in Kenya. We innovated the way we deal, for example, with fuel products. When we signed into what we called the G2G arrangement, it was not really a government thing. It's a private sector driven innovation. Today, many countries are coming to ask Kenya, how did you do it? We have, of course, innovated also the issue of how to settle our pending bills in the transport sector. Many people had misgivings about it. We told them it can be done outside borrowing from and using the budget as a mechanism. We have, and I appreciate what the CEO of CAM has said, that we have paid 60 billion about 3-4 months ago. We are due to pay another 60 billion in one bullet, again in another maybe 3-4 weeks. We are looking at injecting more resources going into towards the end of this year. Again, we are looking at paying more pending bills that have been verified so that we can inject liquidity into the space. And it also speaks to what somebody was saying here. We want the macros to begin to get into the micro. We want people to start to feel money in their pockets so that the GDP we are talking about, the inflation numbers that have come down must reflect in what happens in ordinary people's spaces. So I will look at the innovation you have suggested. I think with the 3 issues you have asked me to do, let's see how far that goes. If it doesn't go far enough, we will look at the innovation you are suggesting. I am also happy that the banking sector is working with the central bank to see to it that the policy interventions that we have made find their way into the financial system. The question I am sure everybody here wants to hear your answer about, representing the banking industry, is, look, treasury bill rates have come down from 16% to 8% last week. When are you going to bring down the interest rates? I mean, honestly, when are you going to bring down the interest rates to reflect the coming down? I have taken more responsibility to scale down what we are borrowing as government so that the treasury bills have come down. The Treasury bonds have come down from 16 to about 8 point something. My good friend, would you like to say something about what the banking sector is doing to make credit more accessible? Because that was my primary reason. Do you want to say something?
Yes, thank you for that question, Your Excellency. As the banking sector, what you've said is right in regards to the slow reduction of lending rates. And primarily the reason why the banks, together with the central bank, are having this discussion on the framework is largely due to what you've highlighted. Because of the current arrangement where different banks have different frameworks, there has been a slow transmission. Banks have been essentially reducing rates in line with the treasury bills, but not as fast as is expected. Now, with this new unified framework, the expectation is that as the central bank, through the central bank rate is adjusted, Kenyans and borrowers will be seeing immediate transmission and reduction of their rates in line with these adjustments by the regulator. That is the primary objective of this framework. So bear with us, Your Excellency.
Okay, let me get this on behalf of everybody who has a bank loan, including myself. So what you are telling us is, because I did ask the central bank to engage with banks and to ask the banking industry, why are they continuing with the high interest rates when the environment has been created to significantly lower interest rates? And I'm happy that there is a conversation between you, the banking industry, and the central bank, and you have agreed on a unified way of pricing that then can easily be translated whenever there is movement either way in the industry. As I talk to you now, the CBR rate is at 9.75%. Your interest rates on average are still what? 16, 17, 18?
They are currently at 15.29. This was published 2 days ago by the central bank. We have actually been witnessing a gradual reduction on the average lending rates. And this is just in line to the movement of the CBR adjustment. But hopefully with this unified framework, once it is in place, I'm sure we'll see faster reductions.
In your opinion, in your opinion, between what should be the gap between the CBR rate, if at all, with the average lending rates by the bank?
My response to that, Your Excellency, is that there should be a differential to cater for, of course, operating cost, as well as also the shareholders' return. So there should be a reasonable spread, perhaps between 5 to maximum 7 or 8%.
No.
Depending.
That is unjustified. The global practice is 2, 3. Now, how does it become 5, 6, 7? I think really, and I don't want to put any more pressure on you. Let me leave it there. But I really would want, we as Kenyans, me included, would want to see a much more responsive financial sector that not only looks at the interest of the shareholders, but also looks at the interests of the borrowers. Because there will be no shareholders without borrowers. So it has to be mutually beneficial. So, and thank you very much for taking my difficult questions. I apologize if I have put you in any discomfort. I am the only one who takes difficult questions from people. But thank you very much.
May I say something, Your Excellency? I think I want to confirm that it is true we are in discussions with commercial banks, And I think the conversation around how long does it take for them to come down is a good conversation. And instead of lending to just a few Kenyans on account of the high lending rate, would rather bring it lower to a level where more Kenyans can borrow. And that will make the economy faster and we'll be able to have cash in the economy. And that is where we are now saying there's a big disconnect between the big numbers we are saying and the available cash in the economy because we are not funding expansion. Lastly, Your Excellency, I also want to laud the Bankers Association for the bond suggestion. You see, out of all these problems we have, part of the problems is also a business opportunity. And I think this is what we would want to challenge the private sector, where government has a gap and you have a solution, bring it forward so that we can work together. On the issue of energy, Your Excellency, there's a huge global transition from petroleum to electric vehicles. In Europe, it's probably at 30% or thereabout. In Kenya, maybe 3-4%. But as we transit more to electric vehicles, it means our consumption for petroleum will go down. And also the costs will go down. So I think what we need to be asking as an industry is, first, where will we'll need to charge our vehicles. Where is that energy? So if you don't plan for that, because now we'll not be going to a petrol station, we are now going to charge that. Where will that energy come from? And this is a serious transition point. 2 weeks ago, we oversaw some 200 matatus that were previously consuming 10,000 every day transit to electric. Now, to take worth 2,000, so 8,000 shillings benefit from a cost of doing business. So again, we need to plan another 5 to 10 years on energy, because we'll be transiting from petroleum to more electric energy. Where will that come from? And I think these are some of the decisions that we need to make now. Also noting that our biggest import bill in the country is petroleum. So as it comes down, how do we transit to other things? Thank you, Excellency.
Great. I think Carol tells me we can bring it down. So, and I do not want to make any other statement from here. I think we've had a wonderful conversation. I just want to tell my good brother from the banks that I am also looking at how to look for more innovative ways of funding even public infrastructure. Just so that you know, we will be doing less of borrowing with treasury bills and bonds and those. Or generally, in fact, I am looking for ways of settling some of the bonds that we have. So prepare yourselves to lend more to Kenyans and less to me as government. Because we will be doing more in terms of private-public partnership. The highway to Mau Summit will be funded using public-private partnership. The railway that we will shortly begin the extension from Naivasha to Kisumu to Malaba, hopefully before the end of this year, will be done using private-public partnership. We will not be borrowing any money. We will be using more of the capital markets to raise funding. We will be using more of our Nairobi Securities Exchange. We will be looking for different ways of raising public capital to fund public projects and fund public needs away from borrowing from banks. So please, start to think of how to lend to small people, to industry, to manufacturers. I'm just giving you heads up. So, and so please begin to think about that. Because I think we need to move the country forward. You know, transformation is not an event. Neither is it easy. But it is a necessity for us if we have to change this country. So we will work together with you. We will work together with the industry. I want to give you my assurance as SCEPSA that you have my full attention, my full commitment, and whatever it is that we can do in the short term, Minister, Minister is here.